Hey guys, I'm sorry it's been a while since I've been here, but it's been a few months of unfortunate events and the ever present pandemic. One of the unfortunate events I'm referring to is the loss of my grandmother. If you've followed the channel for a while, you've probably heard that my parents weren't really the greatest. They really weren't meant to be parents. Due to their shortcomings, though, my grandparents basically became my parental figures. I'm sure you're wondering what this has to do with anime. Well, I want to tell you a story about my grandmother and how it pertains to a question I'm commonly asked by my viewers. When I was much younger, I unknowingly fell in love with anime. I would stay up late and get up early, depending on the channel and the day of the week, in order to watch the shows that I loved. I remember being irritated when my father would sit behind me and make fun of me or the show that I was watching. Anime became something that I constantly had to defend while I was watching it. It honestly made me frustrated and bitter. I kept watching anime though, even if it meant I would be ridiculed for it. At my school, being a fan of anime basically meant being targeted as a loser or a nerd, which again left you open to bullying. So most people didn't really talk about it openly. Or you would just wait until you had a sleepover with one of your close friends, and in between those sleepovers, you would just have to continue watching anime and then doing other activities. I would commonly draw as I watched anime or after the fact. Of course, those drawings were in a locked book, which I had pretty close to my person. I couldn't understand at the time why everyone was so negative towards this art form that I loved. Though my grandparents lived hours away, my parents commonly dropped us off. I'm referring to my brother and I. Those visits usually lasted for days. During my time there, I usually kept my normal routine, which included getting up early, grabbing a bite to eat, sitting about 3 feet from the TV, and lowering the volume to as low as possible to not disturb anyone else, but still being able to hear it. This went on until my grandmother awoke and decided it was time for either her soap operas or The Price is Right, depending on the day. One day, my grandmother was sitting behind me. I grabbed the remote and was about to change the channel when suddenly I heard her say, "Wait." I looked back in confusion. She had a huge smile on her face. She said she wanted to watch the episode of Pokemon I had on. During the commercials and after the fact, she wanted me to explain everything I could about the show. I was over the moon, to say the least. I told her everything, anything I could think of. I explained other shows I was watching as well. She asked to watch those too. We watched everything together. I became so comfortable around her that I mindlessly drew in front of her as well. She asked what I was doing, and of course, I became red in the face under the impending doom of criticism. I explained that what I was drawing was anime, manga, you name it. She became excited and ran into the other room. She came back with her arms full of books. She explained to me how she used to draw all the time. She would sit with me and draw with me. She gave me tips on how to become a better drawer. She explained that her favorite Pokemon was Butterfree, so of course I filled her apartment with drawings of Butterfree. Any Pokemon really, but specifically Butterfree. When people stopped by to have coffee with her or to have a chat, they'd see the whole apartment full of these drawings, and she would happily showcase them, explaining exactly what it was, even though it was hard for some people to grasp. I would commonly sing the anime openings as well when we went out for our walks. I remember her having another aha moment when I was singing. She said, "I have something to show you." She grabbed me by the hand and she went running, and she took me to the communal piano in her building. She expressed to me that she always loved to play the piano. So she would start playing, trying to replicate the music that she had heard, and I would sing along with her. This was also her opportunity to teach me how to play the piano. I was incredibly happy. When I had to go home, I felt sick. It meant leaving my safe haven and my happiness. When I went back home, I had to face the same scrutiny as before. I explained this feeling to my grandmother. At the time, she didn't know what to say to me. One day, several days later, I received a parcel in the mail from my grandmother. It was filled with VHS tapes. I quickly called her to figure out what was going on. She told me that she wanted me to talk to her about these episodes that we would have watched together if we were together. At the time, I was incredibly overjoyed, and as an adult, it's a great memory for me to hold on to for how much she loved me, of how she wanted to give me something to hold on to. For the longest time, I wondered if she did all of that for me, or if she really enjoyed anime. But honestly, as time went on, I didn't really care what the answer was. I just knew that she helped me immensely in so many ways. As many years rolled by, everyone started to notice that she was acting odd. After many tests, we soon realized that her memories were in decline. It got to the point where she no longer recognized me, what reality was, or where she was. I'd sit with her and reminisce about things that were fleeting memories for her. At times she'd have moments of clarity and would surprise me. One day I was talking about her kids and what they were up to. She suddenly turned to me and said, "I always considered you one of my children. Being able to share your interests for so long was incredible to me." I held her hand while saying, "Me too," while the thought escaped her. By now, I'm sure you know where the story's going. She continued to decline mentally, and she passed away recently. I thought I had somewhat prepared myself for her passing, as her dementia had lasted for about 2 years. I was wrong. I was devastated. After her passing, I was left with sadness, but I was also left with the delightful memories that she left with me. I'm fortunate that she was in my life, and I wish that other people had someone like that in theirs. I commonly get asked how I dealt with being an anime fan and how you can get parents to show support. If you're a fan of anime, keep moving forward. Just because those around you don't understand your interests, it doesn't make them less valid. Don't let someone dictate what you like and who you are. It seems easier to say as an adult and as a teacher, but don't pay attention to negative comments. They often come from a place of misunderstanding or hate. As for the adults listening, whether you're a parent, an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, try and show interest in what they're watching. I'm not saying that you have to love it, but at least try. Try to understand. Any effort without ridicule is good support. This can range from watching shows, asking questions, listening to music, initiating watching a new show, you name it. These are all things that you can do together. You might not believe that your support affects them, but it does. What are my closing thoughts? I wish everyone had someone like my grandmother who was incredibly supportive and kind. I simply needed to share this story with you in order for me to try writing other scripts, as most of my thoughts led back to her. I know being an anime fan isn't always easy, but it's your passion. Keep going. I know feeling alone is a terrible feeling, especially right now. But know there's an entire community that shares your passion and is here for you. So chin up, smile, and keep loving this art form. And until next time, I'll see you later.
Parents say, your own feelings are what matter. Those are what should ultimately guide you. It'll be okay. You aren't on your own in this. No one